It's funny when you think about it. Getting paid, it seems so basic, but for a lot of the smallest businesses out there, it's still kind of a big hurdle. But what if there was a way to just use, like, the phone in your pocket, the one they already have, to accept payments?
We're always on the lookout for those developments that are really shaking things up in payments. And today we're going to be looking at something that has the potential to make payments a whole lot simpler and, honestly, a lot more affordable for a whole bunch of small and medium-sized businesses out there.
Yeah, definitely a game changer.
Absolutely. We've been digging into this NMI article all about tap to pay.
For folks like ISOs and software companies, their bread and butter is offering solutions that really make a difference for their merchants.
Right. Streamlining things.
Exactly. Smoother payments, getting rid of those headaches, keeping costs down, all that good stuff.
Makes sense.
And that's what this deep dive is all about today, really getting under the hood of tap to pay and seeing what advantages it has for, everyone involved, you as the provider and those SMBs you're working with.
Okay, so let's break it down a bit. For those who might be new to this whole tap to pay thing, it basically turns a merchant's smartphone or tablet, the ones they're probably already using every day, into a payment terminal.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so instead of needing a separate card reader or any of that extra hardware, their customers can just tap their card or, if they've got a digital wallet on their phone, right on the merchant's device.
So no more juggling multiple devices. That's pretty slick.
Exactly. And the best part is the payment itself, it gets processed just like any other contactless payment. But it all happens right there through an app on their device.
Okay, so the convenience factor is definitely there. But what about the technology behind it all? How does it actually work?
Right. So this is where it gets kind of cool. Most smartphones and tablets these days, they've got something called near field communication built in. NFC for short.
NFC.
Right. It's basically like a short range wireless tech that lets devices talk to each other when they're, really close.
Kind of like how you'd use your phone for like public transit or those fancy door locks, right?
Yeah. Exactly like that. And NFC, it's been around for a while now, but what's really changed the game is this new wave of mobile point of sale apps. And of course, the security measures have had to catch up too.
Right. Of course. Security's huge.
Absolutely. We're talking PCI-compliant, top-notch security. But all of this together, the MPOS apps, the security advancements, it's all come together to make tap to pay a really viable solution, something merchants can actually rely on.
So it's like the software side has caught up to the hardware, and now we're really seeing what's possible.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. These apps, they're pretty sophisticated now. They handle all the POS stuff you'd expect, like, ringing up sales and all that.
Yeah.
But they also connect directly to the payment networks, the gateways.
Yeah.
And they've got all that robust security baked right in.
Streamlining the whole process front to back. So from the merchant's perspective, what's it actually like to use tap to pay? Is it pretty straightforward?
Oh, it's super easy. Basically, they just open the app, enter the sale amount, maybe a few other details, and then boom. They just turn their phone or tablet towards the customer, and the customer taps their card or phone to complete the payment.
Nice and simple.
Super simple. And it's not just basic payments either. These apps, they can handle all sorts of stuff. Like, if you've got a bunch of items in a sale, they can do that. Tips, cancellations, even digital receipts. It's pretty much the whole 9 yards of what you'd expect with contactless payments.
So it's not just a bare bones solution. It's got all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about who really benefits from all of this. The NMI article really focuses on small and medium-sized businesses and, especially those smaller businesses just starting out. Why is tap to pay such a big deal for them?
Well, the numbers don't lie. NMI, they cited this survey, right?
Yeah.
And it said that something like 93% of SMBs think their customers want more ways to pay with contactless. But here's the catch. Almost 25% of these businesses, they're not even offering contactless payments yet.
That seems like a missed opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. And get this. When they asked these businesses if they'd consider using tap to pay, 95% said yes. And hold on, this is the crazy part. 92% of the cash-only businesses, they said they'd consider it too.
Wow, that's a pretty big shift in thinking.
Yeah. It shows that there's this huge untapped market out there, all these businesses who are ready to embrace something like tap to pay.
So what makes it so attractive to these smaller sellers? What are the real advantages here?
Well, the article breaks it down into three main benefits: cost savings, flexibility, and, keeping things secure.
Makes sense.
Let's start with the cost thing. For a small business, every penny counts.
Oh, yeah. Keeping those costs down is crucial.
And that's where tap to pay really shines. Because they're using their existing phones or tablets, they don't have to shell out extra cash for dedicated hardware.
No more buying or renting those card readers.
Exactly. And that's a big deal, especially for micro merchants, the really small operations. Those upfront costs can make a big difference.
So it's not just about saving money, it's also about simplifying things, right?
Yeah. Less hardware to manage, less to worry about breaking and replacing. And this is where you guys, the providers, have a real edge. If you can offer a solution that doesn't involve any extra hardware costs, that's a huge selling point.
It's a pretty compelling pitch for sure. So we've got the cost savings down. What about the flexibility aspect? How does tap to pay give merchants more freedom?
Well, think about it. As long as they've got their phone or tablet and some internet, they can accept payments anywhere.
No more being tethered to a counter.
Right. Pop-up shops, farmers markets, you name it. They can take their business on the road and still accept card payments. No problem.
And no more dealing with clunky terminals or worrying about keeping things charged up all the time.
Exactly. It's just way more convenient all around.
Okay, so we've covered cost and flexibility. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, security. How does Tap to Pay stack up when it comes to keeping those transactions safe?
Basically, these Tap to Pay apps, they use the same strong encryption that's standard for any contactless payment. Plus, they're built to work with all the security features that are already on your phone or tablet.
So you're not sacrificing security just because you're using a mobile device?
Not at all. They can actually be even more secure because those mobile devices, they've already got all these safeguards in place. And all this is designed to meet those PCI DSS standards, the gold standard for payment security. So you can assure your merchants that they're in good hands.
That's a big relief. Nobody wants to deal with security breaches.
No, definitely not. And, the best part is, getting set up with Tap to Pay, it's usually pretty straightforward. The merchant downloads the app, logs in, and they're good to go. All that security stuff is handled behind the scenes.
That's great news for busy business owners who don't have time to mess around with complicated setups. So the NMI article also talks about their own Tap to Pay solution. What can you tell us about that?
Well, they've partnered with MasterCard on this one, which is pretty cool. They're using MasterCard's tap-on-phone infrastructure, which is already super solid and secure. So, right off the bat, you're working with a system that's been tried and tested.
Makes sense. And it sounds like it's designed to integrate seamlessly with their existing platform.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If a merchant's already using NMI, they can manage all their sales, mobile, online, in person, all in one place. And getting started is a breeze. They download the app and boom, they're ready to go.
No need to jump through hoops or learn a whole new system. That's a big plus.
Yeah. And get this. It works with pretty much any Android phone or tablet, which is a huge chunk of the market, like over 70% worldwide.
Wow, that's a massive reach. So this is a real opportunity to tap into a huge pool of potential customers.
Exactly. And it's not just about attracting new merchants. It's about keeping the ones you already have. This is the kind of solution that keeps people around. It's what they call a sticky solution.
Sticky solution, meaning it encourages merchants to stick with the platform even as they grow.
Exactly. It's like whether they're a one-person show or they're planning to expand, Tap to Pay grows with them. So you're building a relationship that can last for the long haul.
Makes sense. So to wrap things up for our listeners, what are the key takeaways here? Why should they be paying attention to Tap to Pay?
Well, the big things are ease of use, cost effectiveness, and strong security. Those are the benefits that really matter to merchants, especially smaller ones.
And for the providers, it's a way to reach a wider audience.
Absolutely. You're giving them a tool that helps them attract more customers, streamline their operations, and keep things secure. And, solutions like the one NMI's got, they make it easy to deliver all of that.
So here's a thought for everyone listening. How could Tap to Pay change the way you work with those smaller merchants? Could it be the key to building stronger, longer-lasting relationships in this crazy world of payments? Something to think about. All right, thanks for joining me for this deep dive, and we'll see